So our header is actually going to do another thing besides what I already said. And the other thing it's going to do is it's actually going to be the head of our document. So if you remember, when we normally write HTML, you have to do doc type, head, and then you have to say title, and all that other stuff, right? The meta tags and things like that. Currently, we don't have that. And if you actually view the site here, and you can just click on anywhere. I'm just going to click on nothing and right-click and go inspect. Or if you go up here, it's usually like web developer, toggle tools. That will also work. It'll give you this little menu here, right? So it depends on the web browser, but they all have something of that sort. What you're going to see is that it says HTML, but notice that, and it does create like a head, but notice it doesn't have any of the things that it's like supposed to have. It's not formatted correctly. So besides the actual content of our heading up here, the header PHP is actually going to handle that aspect as well. So what I want to do is this. I'm just going to put that down, and we're just going to write what we normally would. So I'm just going to go like this, and then we'll do doc type HTML, right? Like that, and then we'll do HTML, and then inside the HTML, you're supposed to have, we haven't been doing this because I haven't really worried about it too much, but you're supposed to specify the language that it's written in. So in our case, it would be language EN-US, English US. And then after that, we would have the head, right? So head, and let's just go ahead and go ahead. And then we'll just tab in here, and then we would do the title, and we'll just say, you know, page title, is something, right? Title. And then after the title, we would do the meta tag that would say the type of character set we are using. So we'll go equals UTF-8. And oops, let's do this. I like to do that better. Okay. And then we'll do another meta name, and this part is so that we can do responsive content. If you remember, you have to set this part up. So it's going to be the view port, and then the content will be equal to width equals device dash width, like so. Okay, why do I have to do this every time? It's so annoying. Gotta set that up as the default. Okay, and then we close that, which I already did. Okay, so now if I were to save this and refresh it, inspect element, you'll see that now, look, it's got the doc type, says the language, as the title, and those two things in there. And that's great, but it would be better actually if this is dynamic. And the reason for that is a couple things. For one, the title's going to change, right? Depending on, we're making this theme obviously very specifically for ourselves. So we could what we call hard code this, which means we put something in that's static. It doesn't change in any way. It's always this. But it'd be better to make it dynamic. Normally, most themes are made to change depending on the user, right? They're going to put in their own content. They're going to have their own title for their name. They might use a different the language might be different, right? If it's done in a different part of the country, or not the country, part of the world, things like that, okay? So it would actually be better if we did some of this and we actually just changed it to be automated through code, okay? So for inside of here, I'm going to take this lang out, and I'm going to go into PHP mode. So it's PHP. And then inside of that, we're going to go ahead and put language underscore attributes. Language attributes. Boom, boom, boom. And then go, oops, not like that, sorry. Then go out of PHP mode. And like that. Okay, so basically, we'll put a space there so this will be easier to tell. Basically, we put this in there instead. And what this is going to do is that using WordPress, PHP and WordPress, it's going to automatically find the language and put that in there, the tag that needs to be there, right? Or the property, I should say. Okay, for the title, we're actually going to remove that out. The reason why is that that's actually going to be generated later on inside of our functions. We're not going to use that in here, okay? There is a way of doing it, but it's actually better to do it in the functions, and we'll look at that later. So the meta character set, again, that can also be removed. So we'll do character set, and then for the character set, we're just going to use PHP to fill that in. So we're going to go back into PHP mode again. So PHP. Then we're going to go ahead and do blog info. All right, and then the blog info that I want is the char set. Okay, char set. Boom. And then we need to go out of the PHP mode. Okay. And I'm just going to remove that. We don't really need that. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's basically going to replace in there. You're going to find that blog info can be used for lots of things. We're not going to use it right now, but you can find the title with that. Basically, this is like site info. Because you got to remember that, to a large extent, WordPress kind of where it started was as a blog kind of platform. So a lot of the things are actually kind of blog-centric. So when they say this, that's actually what they're talking about. And then this part actually is fine. And then the last thing I want to do is that, if you remember, this is the head, right? We put it afterwards. So this actually should go up here. So I'm just going to cut this, Control X or Command X, and paste it inside of here. So it's the last thing that happens before the head is closed, okay? And then we're just going to remove this because we don't actually need that. That was just there as a placeholder. And then we can save that and go over here and preview, refresh. This will go away, but that's not a big deal. And then right-click, inspect element, and we should see, yep, see, it says language, blah, blah, blah. It still says the same things because it's still the same for us. But if somewhere else were to use this, these would be, they're now dynamic, right? It depends on the user and the content that's placed within it, all right? So that is good for the head. Let's move it on over.